Hi, everyone. Welcome to DomainSherpa, and thank you for tuning in to the podcast with the best domain name and digital asset content in the world. Today's episode is a DomainSherpa review titled Full Disclosure, featuring Shane, Adam, and Drew. And based on some recent domain industry chatter, we get into a conversation of whether domain name sales should be disclosed and if that's good for the industry and how it impacts buying, selling, and brokering domain names. And then we play the domain game featuring dutyfree.com, elitedog.com, and textiler.com. And then we've got the NameJetGonnaJet segment sponsored by NameJet. And we talk about some domains coming up for auction, including smartkitchen.com, nashvilleproperty.com, beautyacademy.com, and charityauctions.com. And remember, if you're listening to the audio version of this podcast, you can also watch the video version at domainsherpa.com and on our YouTube channel at ds.tv. You can also listen to the shows on Apple and Spotify and other podcast platforms as well. And please make sure to hit the like button and the subscribe button and all that good stuff everywhere that you can and help DomainSherpa grow the pie. We also integrate our shows with Muse.ai, which provides search functionality for the shows and transcripts as well. So definitely check all that out. And big shout out to DNWE, short for the Domain Name Wholesale Exchange. It's a trading platform designed specifically for domain investors, streamlining the process of buying and selling domain names to make it quicker and easier. With a community of over 3,500 investors, DNWE enhances market liquidity, facilitating more efficient transactions with standard domain listings, reverse auctions, standard auctions, and soon to be added portfolio auctions, including traffic portfolios. DNWE is part of EW3N, a family-run digital asset investment company based in London, England, that also operates domainmanage.com, which is a global sales platform, and brandable.uk, a marketplace for UK and co.uk domain names. And shout out to our own business, MediaOptions, the #1 domain broker in the world. Find out more at MediaOptions.com, where you can also sign up for our newsletter for the best domain names and domain opportunities available in the market every week, and also featuring key insights and other helpful information related to branding, naming, and domain investing. So with all that, it's now time to get into this episode of DomainSherpa, where all roads lead to domains. What's up, Sherpa Network? Thank you for tuning in today. My name is Jonathan Tenenbaum, aka JT, aka Jayon, aka Sherpa Winfrey, aka Thunder Mountain. I think I had another one. There was another, aka Repeat. I don't know. You know, Drew hits me with these nicknames all week.
I don't know. I like Polly better.
I don't even think that's a thing, man. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, and I'm the host and producer of DomainSherpa, where all roads lead to domains and AKAs. Today's show is a DomainSherpa review where we get into the minds of successful domain investors using real examples so we can learn strategies and tactics to become better investors ourselves. These are the experts, the OGs, the best in the biz, my personal friends. Like I said, we're not exactly, they're not exactly guests. They're more like co-hosts. There's 4 segments to DomainSherpa review. We got the grand opening. That's where you are right now, where I intro the Sherpas, see what's going on with them. We talk about some related things, some unrelated things, you know, good stuff. Then we got the domain game, where we hear about what the Sherpas recently bought or sold. Everybody guesses. We keep score, get some swag to the winner, like these hoodies, which everybody, Shane didn't get the memo, unfortunately, although he does have one of these hoodies. He did not get the memo to wear one today, but it's all good. He's rocking the NameJetGonnaJet because that is the 3rd segment. Show him, let him know. NameJetGonnaJet, where we review a list of domains coming up for auction and see what the Sherpas like and what they don't like. And then last but not least, we hit GrandClosing, where we discuss anything we haven't already covered, what's going on in the domain space, looking at market trends, current events, and allowing our guests to talk about or promote anything that we have not already discussed, or maybe even something that we already have. We might just repeat some stuff in here. You never know. You never know. So let's go ahead and introduce the Sherpas. Over to my right, I got my boy Adam Strong, aka John Wick, aka Up and Adam, aka Tony LaRussa, aka Adam Antium, aka Adam Strong to Quite Strong. How's your portfolio, Fokker? Aka Adam, you're only as strong as your weakest back link. What is going on, man? How are you?
I'm good. I still need to know about the Fokker one. I'm not 100% on that one.
Dude, have you never seen Meet the Parents? You know what I'm saying?
I have. Why do I get that?
The reference is because he's like, you know, the one guy, you know, so he's a male nurse, right? So everybody's kind of, you know, looking at him a little bit like through that kind of lens. And, you know, they're trying to get to know him.
What you trying to say?
They're trying to get to know him a little bit, you know, and they're like, so how's your portfolio, Fokker? And he's like, oh, strong. Quite strong.
Yes,
you know?
yes.
Nah, and the way he says it is just real funny. The timing, Ben Stiller, is awesome, and so it's strong to quite strong. You know what I'm saying? But it's just the way he says it is very, like, you know, kind of
good reference.
Like
Yes,
awkward
I
and
like it.
goofy. Yeah, it is. That's what I'm saying, man. Nothing but
I like it.
good references in the AKAs. You feel me?
Yeah,
All
that one's
right.
got that one's
Thanks, man. Thank you.
double meaning.
Yeah, that's it. All right. To my lower right, I got my boy Andrew Rosner, aka Morpheus, aka the Dirk Diggler of digital assets, aka Bob Lee Swagger the Sniper, aka Drew. Drew got what I need, aka every Rosner has his thorn, aka never gonna give Drew up, get Rick rolled, aka Graybeard, the domain pirate, who I appreciate really has been rocking the gray beard, so that's like where it all kind of, it all comes together, you know what I'm saying? So
Yeah, I mean, I'm just lazy. I used to shave. I mean, when I say shave, I just do the top of the head and the face all at the same time with the zero. I just go zero hog wild once a week, and these days it's every 2.5 weeks. But
right.
it just grows strong.
Strong, quite strong. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, strong to quite strong. Speaking of which, though, yo, Shane, I gotta say, getting back on the grind, full-time jobs, like getting busy is it's been good for you. You look younger. I'm not even playing. I'm not even like you legitimately look like 15 to 20 years younger than you did like 6 months ago. I swear.
I think it's the hair.
It's because I have hair now.
What do you mean? What do you mean? Because I got hair now. What do you mean?
We'll talk about it off. We just explored hair options and we have grown it back. So yeah. So there was nothing on top, and now it's a nice full head of hair, all mine, beautiful, thick.
Wow, look at you, dude. You look like 15 years younger. Your skin's glowing.
That's the thing too. He's like shaved because he has to be on these Zooms all the time.
Yeah. I look homeless, and you look like
25-year-old crypto bros. Like, I mean, everybody I talked to like just got out of the lacrosse.
You know what they say? You are what you eat.
I mean, no, there's no doubt. I definitely, even my wife's like, good job.
Hey, if he approves, then you're definitely winning. So let me go ahead and officially introduce
happy
Shane.
Wife, happy life.
Well, happy wife, happy life. Yes, sir. All right, Shane Culture, aka Sugar Shane, aka Honey Shane, aka Mike Bro, aka Blame It on the Shane, aka House of Shane, aka Blue Oyster Culture, aka the Culture Personality, aka the Culture Club, aka Doing It for the Culture, aka In Shane in the Membrane, In Shane in the Blockchain. What's up, man? You know what I'm saying? Chain. Shane.
All day.
Ooh, okay.
Domain chain.
Domain chain. Hey, so all right, well, cool. So we're all here in the building. We got some things to do today. I'm excited. So I'm on my third cup of coffee, and it's still pretty early, so I'm feeling pretty good. We haven't, So one thing I would like to talk about, because this just before we get into the domain game and before we get into NameJetGonnaJet, Drew yesterday on Twitter was posting. So it was Rick Schwartz posted some shit about the space needs more comps, right? Comparable sales was basically the drum that Rick was banging. And I want to talk about it today because literally this was just like a yesterday thing, and I think it's cool and relevant. So that was Rick's deal for those of you who follow Rick, because if you don't, and if you have not been accepted as a follower, then you can't even see his posts. So maybe, if we're talking about being full disclosure of domain sales, why don't we do full disclosure of your tweets, Rick? You know what I'm saying? Like, why not? Like, let's go. Come on, man. If we're in the interest of just putting it out there for everybody's benefit. But what do you call? So his opinion was that everyone that's making domain sales but not publishing the sales publicly is doing a disservice to the domain space, which Drew vehemently disagreed. And so Drew, why don't you talk about that a little bit, man? So Rick thinks, hey, we got to publish domain sales for the good of the industry. You're saying as a domain broker, you don't want comps. You think comps are no bueno. Am I right?
Yeah, I'm gonna take it back. I'm gonna step it back one step further. Okay, on the historical timeline. So it actually all started the day before with Andy Booth posting that Andrew Miller was so good at trumpeting. I don't know. He has some fruity language around it, but trumpeting, high-end domain sales. And I said, well, that makes him quite the hypocrite, considering every time he gets on stage, he loves to tell everybody how, he's a warrior for customer privacy and, confidentiality and NDAs and all this. And then the moment he makes his, intermittent sale, he sends, he's like a politician. He links it to Elliot, and then Elliot will post immediately, and Elliot hops all over his lap, gives him a little lap dance, and then gets trumpeted it out there, and everybody's like, "Oh, look at it!" And Andrew's like, "Oh, but I didn't release any details." And then he'll get up there, he'll get on every podcast, and he'll get comment on every tweet, and he'll be retweeting that shit for the next 6 months about how he didn't disclose the price of this big sale that is speculated. So anyways, I just am so tired of this shit. It's just such ludicrous amateur behavior across the board. Okay. And so then I chimed in and pointed out the hypocrisy. And then the following day, Rick had likely been following this thread, chimed in with his own ideas in a new thread, which was far better written and thought through than Andy Booth's post. And so then I commented on that, which you were, let's say, roughly accurate with what he posted. But what I said was I vehemently disagree that comps are what drives this industry forward. I would say that almost on certainly a weekly, if not almost daily basis, run into a brick wall because of a supposed comp from some other domain broker or some other domain owner who has dramatically undersold a domain name. And now that has anchored my buyer in some mindset, completely illogically, that this domain they want to buy should be the same price or less. Okay. Now, first off, I hate the idea of any deal I'm involved in being anchored by some third party that has absolutely no relation to this deal. Okay. Secondly, is the whole idea of comps to me is false on its face, and it's just a marketing ploy because there are no two domains which are alike. All domains are individual. Everyone is unique. And even more importantly than the domain names themselves, the scenario in which a domain transaction happens is never, there has never been two circumstances in the universe under which a domain name was acquired where all variables that went into that decision were similar to another transaction. Okay. And then further and more importantly than all of that is simply who is the buyer and who is the seller. And that ultimately, combined with timing, is the most important variables in a transaction, and price comes secondary or tertiary to that. So for all of those reasons, it makes no sense to use a comp. And so all a comp is in a, let's say, opaque industry like domain names where people don't understand value, and it's very difficult to even figure out how to get over the target. If you are a buyer with no, let's say expertise or knowledge around the subject, or if you're a seller, okay? And so that's where a broker comes in. And so if a broker is actually doing their job, if a broker is a true market expert, if a broker can communicate and explain what drives the value of this particular domain name for your particular organization, that is how you achieve a better sale. That is how you optimize your outcome. It's understanding what drives the value of this particular domain. What are the variables around the growth, the trend, the industry, the scarcity of this particular name, the fact that this particular name cannot be replaced or can be by any other name out there, and then understanding how it very, very specifically applies to you as a buyer and how you as a buyer will generate an ROI over some reasonable period of time for your business by acquiring this domain. Most likely in the decreasing of your cost of customer acquisition. Now, that is a broker's job. And if a broker is doing that job, a supposed comp is only a blockade. It is a hurdle to achieving a higher bar, to achieving an absolutely optimized sale. It is a hurdle to fully realizing the intangible dream that is a seed inside of the brain of that potential buyer that it is my job to fertilize and grow and then ultimately harvest it. And comparing it to somebody else is it's ludicrous. It's ludicrous. It's for the weak-minded. It's for the people who don't understand how to do their job. It is. I understand if you're just an average Joe domainer, you've got a portfolio of domains that you don't know what they're worth, then comps are useful for you to try and get your head around it. But I can tell you that in terms of driving the industry forward, which is what these gentlemen and other individuals are discussing, it is antithetical.
Something about that, gentlemen.
Antithetical.
Yeah. All right. Well, hey, real quick. All right. Totally hear you where you're coming from. And I think it's interesting because do you think, obviously, based in, and you touched on this a bit during your rant, which is, kind of what position that you're in this, like this ecosystem might differentiate where your head is at based, on the issue, right? If you're a domain owner versus a domain buyer versus a domain broker, is going to have impact on what you think is best. No, I mean, do you think that, so Shane, Adam, I'd like to get one of you guys, and Adam, I know you put a poll up. Actually, let's talk about this. You put a poll up, I think on Twitter, asking generally if somebody sells a domain for 7 figures, are you going to report it, right? And what was the how'd that go?
People like to report their names, but I think that topic is a little bit different than what Drew's talking about. I think they cross paths, but I think I agree with Drew a little bit on this, but then I think there also has to be, you can't just operate in a vacuum. And so I think, especially when you're consulting with clients that are, maybe a little bit naive. So I think comps provide just analogize, if you will, art. Every piece of art is unique. A Monet is not a Van Gogh, and so looking at prices on art, I think is a very similar situation. But all that information is published, right? So I think.
Can I just interrupt for 1 second? I promise I won't go over.
Sure.
Okay. The difference between art, and this is really important. The difference between art, which is just purely a collectible, and a domain name is the commercial aspect and the commercially. I'm not
comparing them.
The commercially derived value. No, but it's critical. It's critical because when analyzing a piece of art, there is no underlying value to it outside of how it makes you feel, your ability to pay for it.
I won't argue on that.
Perceived scarcity. That's it. There's no commercially derived value.
I'm not talking about the objects, comparing the objects. I'm talking about comparing the markets and how the comps in those particular markets help propel the market or give somebody
in art,
a background.
Though, it's the only way to drive the market forward is comps, right? There is no other way other than the unique case where somebody absolutely must have, and it's emotion. Yeah. But in domain names, that's my whole point, is that I don't think that that's true.
Sure.
In fact, I know it's not true.
Shane, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, so my underlying thesis is always data is good, right? Data is good. There's no denying that the more information we have, the difference between us and the average person is we have so much more information on sales and data that we have a complete picture and understand it better than anyone. And it's not shared information, whether it's NDA or not publicized, but that's something that we have, something that nobody else does. So we're not always as concerned with everybody else. And I'm not saying that's good or bad. The fact is we have a ton of information that helps us move forward with our pricing. Drew's right as well. This is, if you're talking about the average person, the more information they get, the better. If you're talking about providing headwinds and objections to our customers, then you're doing that as well. So data can make, if you beat data to death, it'll say anything you want it to say, right? So that's what we're looking at here is, in general, you can't argue that data and information on sales is an overall positive for the average person. At the same time, the more you have, the more people are going to beat it into making what your offer not acceptable. So it's just our job as brokers and sellers is to inform the customer that what they see is not what we have. That's our job, is to make sure that they're informed, because they're going to be informed with what they have, and we just have to bring that extra information and data that we know and share it at that point. That's kind of how I look at it.
Yeah, I think that's interesting. And like, what's up?
Sorry. No, I was just going to ask a question. It sounded like in your rant that you were upset or vocal about this.
I'm never upset. I just
right. Yeah, fired up.
Passion.
Because that information and those numbers hold a bar. It creates this bar and this barrier for, like if the top sale is recorded as $86 million and it's cars.com, nobody's going to go over $86 million because that bar has been set. It's cars.com, and I own strong.com, and strong.com and cars.com are nowhere near each other. And so therefore, my ask is ridiculous. So, I mean, is that generally speaking what you're talking about? And because of that, cars.com,
let's say more or less exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah. And I completely get that. So cars.com and strong.com are two unique paintings, if you will. They both have different qualities. And so
even if you say strong.com and tough.com, or strong.com and I don't know, energy.com. Right?
Well, I'm using that strong.com as an example because it's obviously I'm going to pay more for that.
Yeah.
It's emotional. It has a significance to me that the three of you won't have the same, connection, obviously. So, I mean, I think that
except that, Shane is very strong, you know what I'm saying? So it's,
yeah.
Continue.
I don't know about you too, but whatever. So I guess you threw me off there for a minute here, JT. So I think that, I mean, I agree with Drew here, but I just think we can't just operate in this vacuum of zero information. I mean, so that's kind of along the lines of what Shane said.
I will preface it with this. So again, the two conversations that I'm referring to and that I got all excited about are talking about how to move the industry forward, how to raise the bar on sales values. Okay. And on that particular subject, where we're talking about high-end domain sales, comps have no place. They don't belong. Anybody trying to include them in a sales pitch is doing a disservice to their client. And I don't know. I think I've made my point. Okay. But on the lower end, I think that values are a lot more arbitrary. It's much more opportunistic. And I think that just sort of knowing, I mean, I would say that's kind of how I price my domains that are, let's say, $50,000 and less, particularly the $25,000 and less. I price them based on the buckets of where I see names that are like, let's say, in kind selling. So, sort of a brandable with no particular search volume, but it could make a decent brand. It's always in that $10,000 to $25,000 bucket, and I adjust it according to sort of where I see it in that vector, right? And there's a $5,000 to $10,000 bucket, and this is not an exact science, and I'm basing almost all of that off of not necessarily comps, but just the brackets in which I see large volumes of names of kind, whether it's a 2-word, low search volume, whether whatever it might be. Okay, categorically, where do those types of names sell? Which bucket? But when we get into the 6 figures and the 7 figures, there are far too many variables that are critical to achieving an optimal outcome for a high-end domain sale. And none of those variables are applicable to any other deal that ever took place. And so using a comp makes no sense.
Yeah, and I think you make so there's a few really important pieces of what you're saying, I think, and that is that, it's situation specific in that what you're talking about as far as the point that you're making about comps being sort of detrimental and irrelevant is really related to high value, super premium domain sales, right? I think that when you look at other aspects and other areas of the industry, I think there's probably times where, comps and data is helpful. And I do think data matters, right? In fact, I think part of the challenge too is Drew, you've got the Rosner equation, right? And not to make it, I know your head's already big enough, but as sort of one, if not the preeminent expert on domain valuation, you you approach that from a very specific place related to a very specific scenario of your role as a broker, more often than not looking to help a client sell a very high value domain name, right? And in that instance is kind of where you're coming from. The poll that Adam ran, I want to.
Well, just to so just a little nuance there. I mean,
Yep.
I mostly agree, and I do think that there's let's say there's some sense of a comp if we're looking at data as opposed to comps. So if we're saying here's another name, okay. Now I still don't like it because I don't know the scenario about who sold it and who the broker was, if there was a broker. Buyer came to the seller went to the buyer. All of those things matter. But you can say, well, this name has 100,000 exact match searches and a $2.50 cost per click. And the trend is, let's say, more or less neutral. And you can look at another name, and I would say not necessarily transaction price will or should be similar because, again, depends more on timing, buyer and seller. But the value of those names is similar. There is a commercially similar derived value between those two domain names. And so there is a conversation that can be had, and which we often do have. But to just say this domain has 5 letters and this domain has 5 letters and they're both really good words, we can use them. That's stupid. That's stupid.
We report sales.
You literally shouldn't even call yourself a domain broker if you think that that's a good idea.
Hey, there's reported sales on NameBio every day of names that you look at and you're like, what is this garbage? And the reason it's selling for $5,000, $20,000 is completely opaque to most people.
Totally.
When we look at it, it's, oh, this one has X amount of backlinks, or this one has, a profile, whatever. There's a bunch of variables that are completely foreign to other people when they look at it just on the surface level. So it happens every day. I mean, those names, you can't use those as comps in a, strong.com versus gobbledygook.com, whatever the name is. You can't use those as comps. So I think one of the things that I think we're like, I jumped in this conversation about reporting sales because because of my experience with NameBio and the fact that what I read you saying was like, we're not going to report sales because we don't want them to be used as comps, and I don't want people to use things as comps. So I could agree with you on this comp thing because everything's unique, but I still think reporting sales is important. So that's my I'm done with mine. So I don't have to go on for 20 minutes about it. But I did find it interesting though, taking the poll to see if people, if you make you and I have had this discussion before where you've told me not to report sales because of other reasons, but I think it's interesting to ask, the broader audience, who is going to report a sale? Are you going to report a sale if you have a 7-figure sale? And I'm not really surprised about the results, but
that's a great segue in because I was going to mention that. So looking at the results, I've got them up, right? So and this is the specific question was, you sell one of your domains for a 7-figure sale today. Are you reporting it, right? So now we're talking about a domain owner selling a very high value domain, and you had almost 250 people vote in this thing. Several thousand people viewed the poll. And the results actually, so on yes, absolutely is about 40%, right? So 40%, less than half, but a big chunk are saying, yep, definitely. No way is 30%. So you've got 30% of those people saying, nope, I'm not reporting it. And then you have the other third basically saying maybe someday, so kind of I don't know, depends how I feel, what I'm saying? I don't know. Today's a no, tomorrow might be a yes. So I actually think it's pretty interestingly spread out. I don't think it's overwhelmingly everyone saying, yeah, I'm going to report that shit ASAP. Right. And now, but this kind of goes back to what I was saying before. What I think is interesting is not all situations are the same. Right. So even this one is nuanced in that you're coming from the shoes of a domain owner selling a domain who might not want to disclose it for other reasons. They don't care about necessarily the domain space. Maybe some people are thinking of it like, oh, yes, I think I should report it because it's good for the overall domain industry. Maybe they're thinking, no, I don't want to report it because I don't want to have people like knocking on my door saying, hey, I see you made all this money. Could I get a loan? You know what I mean? So you have different things that are going to
let me introduce you to my $5 wrench.
So, let me introduce you to the cleaver that I bought in up the wall at the restaurant in Austin, Texas. But I think that's kind
the
of
camel bone.
yeah, where's the camel bone at? We got that too,
Yo,
man. We
camel
got
bone's
weapons.
never far. Let me tell you something.
got-
Camel bone's never far.
He's got that weird back.
He's right
He's
now,
got
though.
that weird back massager thing in the background there too. You know what I'm saying? Like, yo, you step in here, I might, fix your sciatica. But I,
Hey, don't listen.
yeah, that's not
This is the best. I don't remember if it was like $15 or $25. It is the best of $15 or $25 you will ever spend in your life.
I mean, that shit looks
Never
like
be
that.
able to get $100
Facts.
for that anymore.
There's the camel bone.
Camel bone. There you go. So,
Camel bone.
but I think
Ride or die.
But the point is that I think what you have, which is always interesting, and I used to say this a lot, like, so when I ran NameJet, one of the biggest challenges we had was I was like, we're always going to have certain friction on the platform because you can't please everyone because you've got different sort of goals on the part of your customer base, right? When you would say like, all right, well, who's your customer, right? Who's your client? Well, on a platform, it's kind of like both the buy end and the seller, right? So you've got the buyers and the sellers. The buyers want to buy names as cheap as possible. The sellers want to get as much money as they can possibly get for every domain. So at some point, that dichotomy or that, sort of that division between goals of like call them equally important customer or client sets is going to lead to friction that is always going to kind of create this sort of like can't ever get 100% buy-in from everybody because everybody's goals are different, right? And I think in the domain industry, it's similar because you've got people buying, people selling, people reporting, all that kind of stuff. So it's like there's different things that matter to different people, right? So I guess then my big question, let me kick it to Shane, who's probably spoken the least in this conversation. For the overall good of the domain space, right? Like in order, and what what does that even mean, right? You think data can't make jars without clay. Data can be manipulated and led to say anything or make the point you want to make. But you think you'd rather see more than less, right? I mean, that seems to be kind of where you're at.
I mean, and there's no better group that's given back to the industry than what's sitting here, right? Like, as far as somebody telling us to give back to the industry, between a carbon footprint and giving back to the domain industry, those are two things I'm pretty sure we've covered well. Between NameBio being, the best source of information, DomainSherpa being the best source of information. So to me, that's where I start. Like we're definitely doing that part. But again, yeah, information is good. You have to start somewhere. It doesn't matter what you're doing. Information is where you start. It's the intelligent and the skilled that take that information and use it in the right way and build on it. People that don't have it rely on that and that only. Like, there's a reason that people drive into the ocean following MapQuest and Waze, right?
That is an excellent, like.
Yeah, that was the best analogy ever.
Literally, I watch women in Hawaii on one area drive into the water consistently because they're relying on that data so solely. That's the problem. So
that's why I took off my Whoop. I don't wear my Whoop anymore because that shit was driving me into the ocean blindly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%.
Well, it's interesting, the idea, because, and another thing, this kind of goes back to the point about divergent interests, right? And we've seen comps have different impact across, like, just with our clients. Sometimes a comp that is either untrue or inflated or not provided without the proper context and background information could make a seller think their name's worth more than they should be selling it for. On the flip side,
we have a
Yep. So hold on.
Up for 7-figure, potentially 8-figure deal that is getting blown up right now because of a comp that is entirely fake, but is accepted to be publicly true.
Right. So yeah. Hey, Drew, I'm gonna
from another broker in the industry.
So now we know where this rant is coming from.
Well, no, but he's actually no. But Drew's point that he made.
This is as of today. This all started. Coincidentally, it could be more timely, but this rant started before that even happened.
Well, and Drew's point in the rant was actually on the flip side, where a comp that's comps that are too low are creating a challenge on the buyer's side in the buyer understanding the true value domains. So again, I think it is a very complicated mix, this primordial soup that makes up the domain space, because you have all these different sort of factors and variables. And I don't know that there's a perfect answer. I think that it's pretty amazing the way that it's evolved without, having tons of transparency, and that you've got name bio. And obviously what we do on DomainSherpa, we disclose more domain sales, aside from name bio probably than anybody, right? And so, I think all of that is helpful, but I think when you get into the different pieces, and like, again, this is why I think it's very situation specific. And then, you're talking about a high level, super premium domain, then it's really important that, you hope that the people that are involved are listening to the experts to be able to drive them to really where it should end up based on the actual facts, data that matters, information that's actually relevant. And, and not just like, kind of to the point of, fake sales and things that, are going to create other friction that is a real tough hurdle to get over, that you have no control over. So yeah, I think it's interesting stuff, man. I think it's all cool. And, so we shall see, but all opinions appreciated. And, and I think part of it too with Miller, one last point, is like, part of it is that he likes to disclose, like, I just did this huge sale. Can't say anything about it. It's like, it's just like, okay, well, like, how helpful is that? So I think when numbers do get disclosed, people are like, oh, thanks for finally disclosing some numbers, and then you get Drew being like, let me tell you about them numbers, and, but I think it's great conversation. And I think at the end of the day, there's so many good people that are doing big, important things in this space, driving it forward just based on the activity that is happening, providing day in and day out, and big shout out to Miller for this, because he's always, kind of waving the flag about the true value of domains, especially, premium, one word, high value .com domain names, and the value that they bring to the end users that ultimately buy them, and justifying the value that, that they're worth. So, so it's all good. I think it's great. And I think it's great when you get really important people having important sort of conversations, spirited and otherwise. So, all right, well, let's close that out unless you guys have anything else to say, because we still got to rock the domain game and NameJetGonnaJet. Any last words? All right, we're going to take acceptance by silence, baby. Let's get it. This was good stuff, man. And Adam, appreciate your poll. I think it's great. And you see the split across the poll. The poll's pretty split. All right, well, let's rock and roll. Let's keep it moving. That's all good stuff. Domain game.
That's what that Olympic high jumper said.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, exactly. You miss out on a gold medal because of your package. It's like, I don't know. I'd be kind of torn on that. I'd be like, I don't know. Like,
I'll take that publicity over a gold medal. We're good.
Exactly.
You would be.
Right.
You would be torn on that.
All of a sudden, his Tinder's blowing up. You know what I'm saying? It's like, yeah. Anyway, all right. So, Adam, buy, sell. What do you got? We're sliding into the domain game. We're gonna hear about what the Sherpas recently bought or sold. We're gonna move kind of quick, but
skip me for a second because I've got nothing to report.
Oh man, all right.
I don't want to release any. I don't want to release any data.
Let's go into the NameJet game and then come back.
Self-serving. Drew, what do you got?
I got one. I'm actually prepared today.
There you go.
All right. Yeah.
All right. This is a buy. Duty free.
It's the one you told me about.
Dutyfree.com.
Oh yeah, I told you.
You told me, but
okay.
You didn't tell me the price. You didn't tell me the price.
No,
you didn't. I didn't follow back up with you, so that's my fault for not following up. But go ahead. It works out.
Right.
So, and I'm out on this one. So this is
a buy. So it's just okay.
Adam and Shane, you guys can get started with a nice, a point. Dutyfree.com.
Duty free.
It's my duty.
I actually, I hadn't really been buying, but I feel like the economy weakening and people getting a little scared and a lot of uncertainty out there, and Bitcoin hit the skids, and I think I don't know. It seemed like the last week or two, everybody, I've seen a lot of weakening hands. I got some, a lot of opportunities just came at me in the last week or two. I bought a lot of domains in the last 2 weeks.
You did.
All right, ready?
All right. I probably bought more domains in the last 2 weeks than I did in the last year and a half.
Yeah, it's pretty close. All right, ready? Let's flip it. 3, 2, 1. Let's see it, boys. All right. Shane is at 9,500. Adam is at 50,000.
Yo, Shane got that time machine out. Shane's on the
Shane went all the way back.
I mean, when I think of duty free, I think of that dusty bottles at the airport. Like I don't know what the market of duty free.
Yo, for somebody that flies a lot, dog, I mean, you got a weird perception of duty free because I don't know, the airports I go through, it's like makes up about 30% of the airport.
Like walking through a mall sometimes, you know what I'm saying?
I know, but I do buy I guess I just don't know if people buy shit there or not.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know
white people. They buy lots.
I don't know
of
the
shit
duty free model. And then can
duty-free.
you make that duty free model online, or do you have to be at that?
It already is. It already is.
See, that's my lack of information. That's
there you go, lack of data. All right, so is Adam the winner?
Adam is the winner by default. So the price was the price was 35,000.
Yeah, it was actually the split wasn't that far apart.
Absolute...
I mean, Shane wasn't that far off of the bottom compared to where Adam was.
I was just playing a game. I was doing
15K to 25K. It's not that big of a spread, but
just trying to win the award, man, in the back.
That's it.
So, all right. I kind of thought you guys would be guessing higher. So, a little bit of background. We were brokering that domain name for, I want to say it was like 2.5 million. I don't know how many years ago, but years ago. And I always loved it. I've loved that domain for a really long time. I don't know. I think it's worth a lot. It was, I will admit it was difficult. We obviously didn't find a buyer. But there are massive companies in the duty-free space. It's one of the largest online retail, let's say segments. And I don't know. I think it's one of those absolute just category defining killer broad spectrum domains. So anyways, I was pretty happy with it at 35 grand. I think that's my favorite purchase of the last, for quite a while.
Well, now I feel horrible.
So you're gonna get to it. Are you gonna?
I feel like I just called your baby ugly. Hey man,
I'm the first guy who gets on here and screams and yells and tells everybody don't even think about thinking about developing your domains or anything like that. But I am kind of contemplating using duty free. I'm contemplating having somebody hack together some really straightforward, easy, let's say top 50 category, little online retail that I can then use to just drive, basically use as like a parking platform, and then use all my domains and start driving the traffic there to, specific categories or whatever it might be. I don't know. I just got it. I have no idea.
We are.
This is probably a pipe dream. The chances I'm going to actually do anything are very low.
Is that a Bernedoodle or Golden Doodle? What's that?
Yeah.
Special guest. Shane's gonna bring his dog now.
No, I'm
sorry, it just came up.
Are we doing dog? Is dogs on the show?
Oh, it's dog day.
That's it.
Dog day? It's the dog day?
Dog day. That's it. Well, we love our dogs. Our dogs were with us already. You know what I'm saying? You're like, oh, let me go get my dog from the cage I put him in the backyard.
Mine's not getting up. He's not moving a bit.
That's funny. Mine just wandered up to me, so it's because his mama's busy.
Yeah, mine has been. I think I said it. I don't know if I said it on the podcast or after. He's probably been part of 1,000 podcasts over the last. He's
your dog.
It's literally. This isn't even my house, and he's sleeping next to me. It doesn't matter where I go. That guy's with me. Easy. Look at that thing. Hold on. That looks like the same thing Adam has.
All right.
Yeah, the bigger version.
Yep.
Bigger version.
All right.
Mine didn't even move and all that.
We got another girl. What's up? She's like, oh, I'm in this piece too. What's up? I'm here. I'm just here for the treats. Here for the treats. Gotcha. Here we go.
Yeah. Behind
one of them big
a
old
good dog.
Beverly Hills dogs.
Yeah, exactly.
They're cool.
Mine's I'm glad you got I got a man's dog. I don't know what you guys got.
Yeah,
I got a street
my
mutt.
dogs are my wife's dogs. That but they're family, so they're all good. Those our girls, but bring your dogs to work day. See, we support, like, that's how we roll here at
All right, I got a name then. I got a name.
All right, let's go. Let's keep it moving.
I bought elitedog.com.
Oh,
Okay.
let's go. Totally unplanned.
Totally unplanned.
Oh,
That's pretty funny. And I've seriously been buying pet and dog names ever since I have one. It just makes me think every day how huge the category is between what I spend on them and where we travel. Like, it's just
it's funny because, I mean, obviously, and with pets and things, and the pet market and just the different services and the products and the food and all that stuff. I saw a meme on Instagram or something that I sent to my wife the other day that was like your friend circle as you get older, and it's like in your 20s, it's like it's done by like almost like a graph of like people's like faces that represent faces, and it gets smaller and smaller until the last one's just a dog. You know what I mean? And
no, I warmed up. You know how you have to warm up your email for brokerage, right? To make sure your emails get through. I was doing bringyourdog.com, and I emailed every hotel just to ask them if I could bring my dog and what it would cost. And they always respond. So that would just keep my emails warmed up. So I was using that as an email service and finding out about what it would cost.
That's probably the best alpha that got dropped on this show right there.
Exactly right. We talked about the DMARC.
You have to email them, and they have to respond for you to warm your email. And that's something that hotels always do. Can I bring my dog? No.
That's awesome. Love it. So it's elite dog singular.
EliteDog.com.
All right. All right. Ready? 3, 2, 1. Flip.
But it's fun.
All right. Oh, I went high. I'm hyped on the dogs right now. All right. So Drew's at $288. Adam's at $525. I'm at $3,000.
Adam's a winner. $600.
All right. Adam is the winner. So basically that gives Adam the whole Adam, you got to throw, if you have a domain, we should do it, but you are the winner.
Won. Pick a prize behind Drew, like the old Wheel of Fortune. Just pick one off.
Camelbone.
That's awesome. Camelbone or an escrow domain broker of the year award.
I'll take the rest in gift certificate, Pat.
Camelbone.
Well,
that is so funny. That's
real valuable shit. You
Wheel
just can't
Fortune,
see
where
it
you
that well.
They pick the stuff out.
That wouldn't be if you could really see what was on these shelves. That's not what it would be your first choice.
Yeah, there's probably gold
remember
bars.
That old Wheel of Fortune? You get your money and go, I'll take the 2019 escrow award for $800, and then I'll take the shelf, the bird egg book for $200, and then I'll take the rest in gift certificates.
Here we got.
Oh man. Oh, you got coins and gems. You got all sorts of stuff back.
Oh,
we got all kinds of
things
shit.
Out of meteorite from like
big old.
Yeah, we can't see it. It's a box.
Sapphire.
That's a sapphire.
It looks like a
gemstone.
Like an empty AirPod case.
Yeah, we got fun shit.
I got Scotch tape. I got
an iPhone.
100 milligram pain relief cannabis cream. Yes.
Water glass.
Got my Pegasus.
Oh, look at that rhino horn.
Yeah.
All right, you want another name? I got another name.
Let's go.
Go. This one is an oldie. It's Tex Tyler. Tex Tyler by TEXTILER.com.
Textiler.com.
Textiler, like a person that does textiles.
Yes.
Or a machine or yeah.
All right.
And you bought it?
Or it's like the note in the bathroom. Text Tyler.
Yes.
Yes. No, it's not a double T.
Text Tyler. All right.
Not your Grinder. It's not your Grinder account.
There was a QR code next to
it. Oh man. Satisfaction guarantee.
This is a sale?
No, it's a
yes,
buy.
sir.
Bought. Oh,
buy. Sorry, my bad. My bad.
Industry.
Why would you buy that name?
Here we go. Hey,
I'm
man.
not changing my price. 3,
2, 1, flip it. All right. Ooh, okay. Drew's at 588. I'm at 600, and Shane is at 980. So we're all right in the.
Shane got it.
Whoa, Shane taking a point home.
Buy it, but you overpaid.
Come on,
the textile
man.
industry.
What'd you buy it for?
You don't know the textile industry.
What'd you buy it for?
Just right around that, like 1,000. Like I don't know, it was like 1,009, I think.
Okay.
Wait, is this with the Y, like styler, textiler?
No, he spelled it at the beginning. He said TEXTILER, like textiler. Like you're gonna lay tile.
Yeah, I mean, if you put, you integrate the style in there, you know what I'm saying?
Not at all.
What is it?
Textile, like fabric.
Yeah,
with an ER.
Oh, fabric,
like
right? It's
someone
not
who
actual
deals
tile.
in garments and textiles.
Not tile. I got you, big brain. I got you. Textiles. Yes, it's a fabric laying, like creating machine.
Just don't worry about it.
That was such an easy win for me.
You should, when you sell that name for like 30 grand, you got to talk about it on the show.
Yeah,
play this clip of us stepping all over our fucking selves.
We'll do.
You're like,
all right, well, good stuff, guys.
It'd be interesting. I mean, I wonder if Billy's way to pull out all the domains we've ever talked about on the show, and then I don't know, go back and see if. Yeah.
We can definitely pull old examples. I mean, there's no doubt.
It's funny when I do a sale, like what did I do? Your logo here. As soon as I posted it, everybody talked about the show. You talked about that on the show, and you went over that one and why it was important, and you knew what you were talking about. Like it gave me street cred for believing why I bought it and explained why I bought it, and then when I sold it, it was sold to that. So there's a lot of history.
People rarely ever take our advice, but they definitely remember every freaking word we said.
Yeah,
good or bad.
It's an interesting
100%.
dynamic. Yeah. So.
Well, we talk enough. There's got to be some gems in there, right? Broken clocks right twice, I guess they say, something like that.
Yeah, exactly right. Broken clocks and textilers.
Textiler. Yeah.
All right. Well, cool. Well, good stuff. Congratulations, Adam. Another hoodie on the way. Get you the fishing one, the white one next.
You get some caps.
Yeah.
That'd be cool. I like it.
MediaOptions is the industry's leading domain broker specializing in domain acquisitions, high-value domain sales, and domain name consultation. As pioneers and thought leaders on the subject of the domain aftermarket and domain name value, plus through their clear domain acquisition service, MediaOptions offers startups and established corporations an unparalleled scope of high-value domain options, providing access to domain names and curation technologies not available elsewhere. MediaOptions believes in the power of a great domain name and is dedicated to helping you obtain yours. Call or email today to put a domain to work for you.
All right, well, let's hustle through NameJetGonnaJet, and then we're going to wrap it up. We've got about maybe 10 minutes left on the clock, and then we will call it. So real quick, let's go ahead and pull up the list. Drew, you're first, if you can get to it, and let me know what you like, what don't you like. You can go to the site, everybody. Go to domainsherpa.com, go to the post, pull the Excel spreadsheet. We've got the list of names. We've got the when you have to have your back orders in if you want to back order in advance. How many back orders as of the time we put the report together. And then along with some other data, ask about appraisals, take those with a grain of salt, all that good stuff. Data. Can't make jars without clay.
Data.
So.
All right. Okay. So, yeah, I don't like many of these, but I like Smart Kitchen. SmartKitchen.com. I mean, that's definitely on the come up. You know what I mean? You got robots in the kitchen now.
Yeah.
Who needs a wife? I'm just playing. Shout out to all the wives out there. You are very appreciated. We love you. I like Smart Kitchen. I like it a lot. I'd probably price that in the 150 range. But again, I price that now in the 150 range, even 250 range, but with the idea that there's a window of time in which there's any conceivable notion that you might achieve such a price. And as time goes on, that window probably diminishes past the next year or two.
Yeah, would that be your
and then it'll be all about brands, right? And then as an emerging industry develops and evolves, let's say the brand objective goes from generic, which is great, better for new user adoption for an emergent technology, an emergent industry, to more tactical, strategic, brandable, creative, later on. Okay, so that's really the only one I would think I like.
And that would be part of your selling to the wave thing that you're always saying.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. Charity auctions is also good. I forgot what the website is, but there's a really good website that like auctions off, musical instruments, experiences with celebrities, lunch with, whatever. They do a lot of that charity auction stuff. And it's called something like that. Charitable giving. I don't remember what it's called. But I like charity auctions because I think that's a big market. And that's the name. So I like that one a lot too.
Yeah, we've done some things for my kid's school and some other in the church and stuff. And, they use different apps and things. But if you could create some pretty cool, software that you could use for, the purpose of running that kind of stuff, I think that would be pretty cool. There's obviously instant validity there for people that are then using the links to do what they do. So, all right, cool. Shane, what do you like? What don't you like?
Yeah, I liked Kitchen Master, and I assumed it had a trademark, but I look and there's nothing on. I mean, there's a trademark for computer hardware and recorded computer software. Other than that, there's nothing, which is really surprising.
Wow. Yeah.
To me, Kitchen Master sounds like something my grandmother had, like that was her first blender or something, That.
Yeah.
But
you have
KitchenAid, you got
right?
KitchenAid, and then Master Chef.
Yeah,
right? So we're probably it's probably conflating those two.
Yeah, in our minds right now,
which probably makes it a great brand.
No, exactly. It sounds, the minute you launch, it sounds like an existing
household name.
Yeah,
household name day one.
Yeah, so I do like that one with that thought. Nashville property is going to have some value. I mean, that you can't get a hotter market than that right now, and definitely somebody could leverage that name and pay for a lot of it using that, because it's not realtor, it's not trademark stuff, it's Nashville property. So I really like that one as well. And successor is good as a guy that comes from a 5th generation business. Succession plan, succession help, getting businesses through multi-generational is a huge business. Like, it's just something that people don't realize. Most businesses don't make it to a second generation, and there's a lot of value in helping people progress through that. So those 3 I like. And then I'll give one I don't like book stands. I just don't think it's a market right now that's big enough to go on its own and to set up, a whole website on. So that's the kind I stay away from. Maybe in 2007, I would have taken it for type-in traffic.
Yep, I'm with you. But interestingly, you talk about book stands. One thing that's been popping up in my social is these kits that you put together that are book, that you put on your bookshelf in between books. And I don't know if there would be book stands necessarily, but I forget what they call them. But you can put them together with your kids, and some of them involve movement and light. They're like book. Yeah, it's like bookends, but you put it like in the middle. Like your books, and then in between, it almost looks like
book middles.
That sounds like something that somebody really stoned invented. Like, yo, dude, I got this idea. Instead of having bookends, we're gonna put it in the middle.
Well, and it's interesting, but the shit is super cool.
It's like, it won't actually do anything to support the books. But how cool is that? Instead of being on the edge, we're gonna put it in the middle. That's how that went down.
My favorite is they sell old books by the pound on Etsy, and so that you can have a bookshelf that looks amazing, but shit you never read or even care about. It just physically looks fantastic, and then you add your book middles to it, and it's really
what they call them.
That's what Drew's got.
Yeah, they don't call them book middles. They call them book nooks, and they're intended to fill space in your on your shelf amongst your books. And there's a company called Anavrin. I don't know if it's like a foreign thing, but they do these really cool little tableaus, like a little train station, and it involves like again, it's movement and it's light and shit like that, and they are so cool looking. And it's like I really want to buy because I think it would be the kind of thing you could put together with your kids. We do puzzles and stuff. Like it's the next level. It's like a combination of like what is it, an Arduino? You know what I'm talking about? Like the things
you don't have to explain it. It's going to be on our TikToks just because you fucking talked about it. Now it's going to
be. I can't wait. I hope you guys
probably an ad on my phone right now for those.
I hope you guys get into it and tell me if it's worth buying. All right, cool. Adam, real quick. I know you got to go here in a minute. What do you like or don't like on the list?
Actually, this is a pretty good list this time around. I don't like the org, chili.org. I'm just going to give you the ones I don't like. I don't really like Miami Tutor, although there's probably some potential there on the lower end. I do like Plano, Texas, Nashville Property. I kind of like that. Property in Nashville is going bonkers. Yeah, out of the geo stuff, I think is pretty decent. I mean, there's always somebody, willing to buy those. So those are probably going to see some bidding. But yeah, the other ones that the guys already said are pretty decent too. So Beauty Academy is pretty decent.
Yeah. And we talk about it,
custom tire, maybe.
Yeah, I think all these are worth a bid, right? It's just a question of, how much beyond that and what can you get them for, Right. One name that's on here that is kind of sort of meets the criteria you guys mentioned before about sort of a combination or playing off of existing brands that already have mind share for people. What about radioshop.com? Radio Shop.
Well, Radio Shack's toast, right? Now it's owned by Grant Cardone.
Okay.
I don't even know. He started sending like personal tweets from the Radio Shack. This is like a year or two ago. He bought it out of bankruptcy. He bought the brand, the IP, and he was like sending personal tweets from the Radio Shack Twitter account. I was like, dude, that was like a lesson like how to destroy millions or tens of millions of dollars in intellectual property value in one tweet.
Yeah. Well, it's funny, the show Young Sheldon, which is like a successor prequel to The Big Bang Theory, and Sheldon's kind of super nerdy stuff, and there's one where he's like goes into Radio Shack is like his jam. That's like the thing he gets as a reward is to get to go to Radio Shack and kind of tool around. And he's like, and the one thing that always gives me, comfort is knowing that this store will be here forever. And it's like, it was just funny, and but yeah, I guess that there you're like, hey, I'm going to go ahead and sort of try to leverage brand equity that no longer actually exists, so yeah, maybe Radio Shop is the move. All right, well, cool. Well, thanks, Adam.
Nobody buys radios anymore either.
Well, that's exactly right. That's what I mean. It's like you're trying to build off of brand equity off of it just doesn't really even actually exist.
Yeah.
So maybe not the name that you want to go ahead and spend all your money on in an effort to try to resell it.
A derivative of zero is still zero.
Exactly right. Hey,
it has some podcast value, but not huge.
Yeah, kind of sort of.
I mean, if you had somebody editing, I'd feel comfortable having somebody called Radio Shop editing my podcast. I mean, that sounds
that'd be cool. Yeah, a little media type, brand.
Yeah, media.
Little media support brand. I like that. All right, cool. All right, well, listen, I think we've covered a lot of ground. Especially enjoyed talking about the comp conversation. That was timely, and appreciate you guys chiming in. Adam, appreciate you doing that poll. And it'll be interesting to see what everybody else, some more of the feedback as that does what it does. Anybody have anything else? I know, Adam, I know you got to jump. You got some stuff going on. I know, Shane, you're super busy. And obviously, Drew, let's get offline so we can start yelling at me about some other stuff.
Still doing DSAD, giving comps every day. All the GoDaddy auction results are there every day if you want to go see them. If you want comps, we do put them up there.
Well, I think the data, though, this goes to what Drew said, too, about the different buckets of names, right? Like, obviously, when we're talking about super, super premium stuff that's one of one, like true, I used to say domains are like snowflakes, but then snowflake was co-opted as such a negative term that we don't even really say it anymore. We're like, they're like fingerprints, and that they're unique. But not if you're in the lower sort of realm, right? Then you've got some commonality that you can use to leverage this, say that some names should have similar values, right? We used to see it with, 4character.coms or the numeric domains when there was the, the big China wave and stuff like that. But I think in the auction level, I think the disclosing of values, and that's a lot of what you see on name bio and all that kind of stuff. I think that's super important because there's a ton of activity that happens at that, you know, every single day in the domain auction. So I think that shit is extremely important. Otherwise, you'd be in a real vacuum just trying to rely on like GoDaddy or Estabot, you know, valuations to give you some sense of what a domain might be worth if you don't know any better. So, you know, so yeah, I think that's obviously super important. So DSAD, everybody, make sure you don't sleep. That's still very much in the mix. Anything else, Shane?
All good. Just talking domains all
got some
day.
wild shit going on. At some point, we got to do a show, a rabbit hole about just your new gig and everything you guys got going on.
Man, it's a crazy world. I know Adam's got to go, but yeah, I mean, being in a startup and getting you there, it's a great experience. I enjoy it. It's something you got to keep moving for, right? You can't Benjamin Button if you just sit around. You got to keep moving forward.
Yeah, you're on your Benjamin Button shit right now.
Yeah, and I go to Singapore this weekend, so I get to talk to 50,000 25-year-olds. So it'll be fun.
Yeah, great, man. So, and you are your age is their combined age.
That's right. I'm Papa. Everybody asks me for a job. They assume I'm the owner. So
exactly. They're like, or a loan or something, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, oh,
they assume I'm
you so-and-so's dad. But no, but yeah, like you're just aging backwards. We say that about Braden too. You know? So
yeah, I just saw that
it's one of his AKAs.
Not to go on another tangent, but in Japan they have an app where you rent a grandfather, and you rent them by the hour. And
our
people
beards
just want like a grandfather.
All right, Adam is out. Adam, you want to say anything on your way out the door?
I gotta say nothing. I gotta bounce though. Thank you.
All right. Peace out, man. Thank you so much.
Peace out.
All right, everybody else, we're gonna get going now that Adam's gone. There's no reason for us to keep this going since he left. And I want to say thanks, everybody. I mean, you guys, obviously, for the time. Always great information sharing, including sharing domain sales. And to the audience, thank you guys. As I say in every show, without you, there is no us. So thank you all for tuning in, and please continue to do so. And we're not hard to find, so chime in on the on what we're talking about regarding the comp piece, and and anything else, the good, the bad, the ugly. Again, we are not hard to find, and we will otherwise see everybody next time here on Domain Sherpa, where all roads lead to domains. Peace out, y'all. Appreciate y'all.